I'm joined now by Jason Dorsey. We just heard you address some of the attendees here. Now, you spoke about the difference with generations. What made you even realize that there were these huge gaps in the workplace?
It was by accident. You know, initially my goal was just to help Gen Y get better jobs, demonstrate their talent and abilities, kind of get what they want out of their careers. But as I worked more in this area, what I realized is that a lot of the friction or conflict wasn't from Gen Y being different, it was that there were all these generational differences that were constantly coming into contact in the workplace, whether it was communication, motivation, teamwork, all these pieces. And so I realized there was nobody that kind of looked at both the research and a little bit of the sociological, how does all this happen in an environment? So just jumped into it, and it's been amazing. You know, who knew? This has been 16 years, if you can believe it, so it's just flown by.
Now, the examples that you gave were dead on. But how do we begin to bridge those differences? What are some tips that you have?
Yeah, I mean, the first tip is more of an internal one for people to take, and that's just recognizing that generational differences do exist, and that not only are other generations different from your own, but your generation feels different to them. And that's pretty important, because people tend to, you know, they recognize that they look at the world a certain way, but sometimes we don't step into the shoes, or in Gen Y's case, the flip-flops, right, of the others. So starting with that space or that empathy, I think is really important. And then the second piece is going, okay, well, if I recognize that I'm a boomer and work ethic is very important to me, then what does that look like? So that means I get there early and I stay late, for example. Well, Gen Y, work ethic, working hard means getting there in the nick of time, leaving as soon as they can, but maybe they work on a Saturday, or they're back online at 10 o'clock at night thinking about something that relates to business, and creating that space. So the first tip is recognize your own generation and where it fits. The second tip is, at least in the workplace, is to provide specific examples of the performance that you expect, because so much of our communication is based on a generational lens. So the example I gave in the speech was business casual, right? You know, khakis and flip-flops. Same thing with good customer service, answer the phone like a professional, and so you want to make examples, and the easiest way to do that is photos, our photos or videos, because they're very fast to make, they're virtually free if not free, and they scale. So no matter which shift it is, how many people come and go, you can use the same photos or videos just off your phone, and then people learn faster, there's less miscommunication, and the best part is you can then hold them accountable, which is really what people want. And then the third one, which I didn't share today because I ran out of time, and something we think is really an opportunity within what APCO is all about, is that this first day at work. So some of our research that came out was that the first day of work is now the most important day for every generation. Gen Y actually decides on their very first day if they can stay, right? We know by lunch. If we like it, we're texting our friends, apply here, and they all rolled up in a Kia, you know, 17 people get out. And then the flip side is, if we don't like that first day, we're immediately looking for another job. And so the easiest thing that we've seen that most groups here could do is that on your first day, you tend to get a tour, right? You got to learn the layout of the office or whatever it is. And the best you can do is create a peer tour, which means matching somebody who's a new hire with somebody their same age and same gender. So match a Gen Y with another Gen Y and so forth, because we found that the conversation they have on the tour is much more substantial and meaningful. So they make a friend, they make a connection, they ask the questions that are really on their mind, like where can you go for lunch, do people hang out afterwards, you know, that whole deal. But the caveat to that, or the thing to watch out for, is you don't want to pair a male Gen Y with a female Gen Y on a tour, because that's called a date. So we want to, but in general, same age, same gender creates a great first day, and that's where it makes all the difference right now.
What's the one thing, if you had to just choose one thing, that you hope that people that heard you speak this morning will take away?
I hope that even more than the generational conversation, which I think is so important, I hope that what everyone left with was the story about my mom. I mean, everybody in the audience today changes lives every day, and so often they never get a thank you. They don't even know the outcome. And in our case, I mean, a 911 telecommunicator literally saved my mom's life. And so being able to say thank you, to me, is the thing I hope they leave with.
That was a great story. It was wonderful of you to share that with them, too. I'm sure they appreciated it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.